Another game with Crush and Gnaw. So we got a pretty fun deck for you guys today, featuring a Disruption Energy Control build using our Mismagius Elgyem to move energies on our opponent's field. And the new Tinkatuff that lets you flip a coin if you get a heads, discard an energy from your opponent's active. I don't know why it doesn't let you discard from any of your opponent's Pokemon, like a Crushing Hammer. It's an ability on a stage 1 that flips a coin that you cannot recycle unless if you evolve into the Fairy Stage 2 Tinkaton, which we do have for this deck. We have one Fairy Tinkaton that allows you to draw 3 cards by discarding a card, any card from your hand. And then we get to play the Strange Timepiece on that Tinkaton back to reverse it back to a Tinkatink, so that on the next turn we get to evolve and recycle our Tinkatuff's ability. But you know, it's not really worth recycling, to be fair. It's a worse version of Crushing Hammer, and Crushing Hammer is bad as it is. So you get the point. Tinkatuff is kind of trash. But then we have also the new Tinkaton that lets us do 240 damage minus 60 for each energy your opponent has attached to their active Pokemon. So if they have, for example, 3 energies on their attacking Pokemon, and if we have a Handheld Fan attached on our active right after they damage our active Pokemon, they essentially have 2 energies left on their active. And if we play our Mismagius along with a Crushing Hammer or Tinkatuff, we can drop them down to 0 energy, allowing us to do 240 damage with the new Tinkaton's um, giant swing or something. I forgot the name of the attack, but it does 240. It's like we can hit the max damage of 240, but it's not really the highest priority. It's not even doing a one hit KO against a Mega, so we're trying to just pull it off once or twice. But the main strategy, the main thing we want to focus on for this deck is disruption to buy us more time for us to do little by little collect prizes, you know, little by little, do enough damage to collect enough prize to win the game. Slowing our opponent down by increasing their attack cost, we got Espathra EX, and we also have Iron Thorns to lock their abilities because Mega Venusaur has the ability that totally counters your Elgyem Mismagius strategy. And then Gardevoir EX also counters your Crushing Hammer and, you know, the Special Hammer from Tinkatuff. There are a lot of abilities that counter. So we have also Ursaluna, Blood Moon Ursaluna. I had a game where I have the Iron Thorns in the active and they got the Ursaluna late and they didn't actually play the Ursaluna and I conceded. I forgot that Iron Thorns locks Ursaluna and that means they need to boss your bench to be able to attack with Ursaluna or gust it with a Repel. So Repel is a new card that actually could be quite important in certain decks. It could actually be a healthy tech for the meta as well. But then I feel like most people would still go for Iron Bundle. We had Iron Bundle and Repel for, I think, both of our previous decks. If you check out our channel, we had Sylveon with Iron Bundle and Repel, helping us target the bench with Angelite. But anyways, now we're up against Alakazam, one prize, and we got our Espathra on the bench. Hopefully they don't boss it before we evolve, because we only are playing one copy of Flittle. We have no redeemable ticket for this list, but we do have a lot in ones. So it's kind of like a box disruption. We have the Dubwool, we have Boss in one copies, Elgyem, Iron Thorns, and Espathra, all of them in one copies, one Tinkaton of each type. But we got 4 Mismagius though, and that one for each type. But we got 4 Mismagius though, and that one Xerosic for the extra disruption. I thought of playing Airy, Gravity Gemstone, a couple other stuff, but those cards got had to be cut out to add consistency. We have Ayano to counter Alakazam, so make sure to play it when they have a lot of cards in your hand. Don't play it too early because you want to be denying them the KO on your Espathra forcing them to do a 2-hit KO on your Iron Thorns as well, helping you collect prizes a lot easier. We do have Legacy though. Our A spec for this deck is Legacy, and it helps us since we are playing 2 EXs. Either one in play is actually pretty useful. Iron Thorns locks their Serendipity. They're playing Mega EXs. They got abilities that we can lock as well. I don't think I feel like the only Mega that has an ability right now is Kangaskhan, but they probably have others. Maybe Zorak EX, other engines that helps them draw cards like Pidgeot, Blaziken. Blaziken is a big one. It helps them attach energy from the discard pile, which is going to be a bit tricky since we have Tinkatuff, Crushing Hammer. But then if they have the energy attached to the wrong card, they can't actually play Blaziken. So Elgyem is going to be really helpful against Blaziken, Iron Thorns especially. I thought of playing 2 copies of Thorns, but eventually just cut it down to 1 with the future booster, just because if you play more energies, might as well just do a single Thorns. You don't need a second one on your bench. It's actually pretty high cost as well. If they knock out both 2 turns in a row, they get 4 prizes. They want them to get 4 prizes. Would be better to just disrupt after your first Thorns before maybe shuffling it back on the next turn using your Rod, and then do a Crispin on it. We got 2 Crispin. Can also play Espathra after the Thorns, or your Hops Dubwool to pull out their something into the active spot that they have charged, so that you can play the Mismagius. That's the main reason we have the Hops Dubwool, to help us target one of their bench Pokemon. If we have the Espathra in the active, they would most likely be charging up their bench and wait until their active gets knocked out by your Psyball, and then play their second attack, like Gholdengo, especially if they have 2 Gholdengos in play, they would be charging up the bench Gholdengo and then, wait for their air balloon to attack with the bench one. And if they do that, we can actually pull out the Gholdengo on the bench into their active spot, helping us play our Mismagius or Tinkatuff to push the energy that they have attached onto their Serendipity or some other cards that they have in play, the Genesect, locking them from attacking for a couple turns, giving us those extra damage in the game, so that we get maybe a hit in the Genesect, locking them from attacking for a couple turns, giving us some extra damage in the game, giving us some hit start in terms of prize draw, and then that helps us maybe finish up with our boss, or the second Tinkaton. We can also attack with Special Hammer, by the way. The Fairy Tinkaton does 180 damage if you have a special energy attached to that Tinkaton. In addition to the draw power, it can also do quite a lot of damage. 180 is not bad. 2-hit KO after your Psyball, or what's the attack called again? Iron Thorns does Cyclone? Something Cyclone? You could actually KO something, is what I'm trying to say, with your Special Hammer. If not, we have our second Tinkaton. We should maybe play a Shedinja for this list to help us finish off their injured Pokemon. I don't know why they're taking so long, I'm sorry. They just took so long to draw a single prize card. That's pretty sadistic, isn't it? They did their first KO on our Cubchoo, my bad. We couldn't actually lock them from attacking. We don't want to be wasting. I think they had the Dunsparce in the active, so we don't want to be wasting our energies on it. I forgot it has 2 energy retreat, and that's why we attached onto the Flittle before attempting the retreat. So we got the Espathra with Great Ball, fortunately. And now we're doing the lock. We should not have played the Mismagius. I forgot that Espathra is not doing enough damage for the KO. And if we KO the Alakazam, we would essentially be discarding the energy they have attached, because they even have the experience share attached to the active. If they were playing the experience share on the Kadabra, right? If they were smart enough to do that, if they had the foresight to do that, I feel like this is a bot match, but never mind. If they attach the experience share onto the bench, then we should be playing the Mismagius, because that actually locks them from attacking on the next turn. It doesn't matter if we are one price behind, if we're one price late in terms of game progression. All it's more important for us to disrupt them and stop them from attacking, because that actually buys time until we get our Xerosic or Iono to basically drop their hand, cut their hand, giving us even more turns to slowly collect even more price cards. So this is sort of a stall control and also damage attacking deck. We're still trying to draw price for the win, but we're trying to do it in a very strategic way by slowing down our opponent as much as we can, one step at a time, a little bit at a time, without them even noticing, you know? That's the magic of Mismagius. Mega Mismagius. Why doesn't it have a Mega? I mean, Malamar got a Mega. Mismagius. Mismagi definitely deserves a Mega. I mean, look at the design. Mismagius is a marvel, you know? Evolving from Misdreavus with the cursed pearls. And I got the witch's hat. And the eerie incantations. So it's a psychic showdown. Alakazam versus Mismagius. Who's gonna win? We got strange timepiece. I don't think they are playing the timepiece, even though it fits perfectly for Alakazam. I feel like they're stacking way too much on the Dunsparce. Enriching energy is perfect for Tinkaton and Alakazam though, enriching with the Dunsparce. Tinkaton not so much, because Tinkaton EX requires 2 colorless for some reason. And double turbo being rotated just makes it really bad. Ignition is not good enough, because you actually need to attach your enrichment. That's why Alakazam is a lot better, just because if you play Wonder Patch Experience Share, you have the luxury, you have that extra one turn to attach from your hand the enrichment energy onto the Dunsparce. You're not allowed to attach that onto anything else, because you get to recycle that ace back every time you attach it from your hand by shuffling back your Dunsparce. That's the whole point of playing that card in an Alakazam deck, right? But anyways, back to the game. Now they are evolving yet another Dunsparce for the runaway. Stacking up their hand, piling up the cards in their hand for max damage with Alakazam. Although they don't really need that much though. It's more important for them to be attaching the energy. I'm not sure if they're aware of Espathra's ability. Feels like a pretty hardcore beginner here. They might be trying to dig for the boss or repel. They played their... Wait, is this their first Night Stretcher? Do they have a Rod? They should be benching another Abra and doing Experience Share on it. Experience Share is not going to help them though, because if they have the energy attached to the Alakazam, we should not be knocking it out. We should be playing our Mismagius or Tinkatuff or even Elgyem to remove that energy so that we actually get to... Not Elgyem, I don't think. We have the Legacy though. We should be attaching the Legacy on the Elgyem. And then do slight shift to kind of play around with their energy a bit before they get the KO condition. If they do a boss on Espathra, they can't attack. So they're probably gonna take out the Elgyem for 0 price, unless if they flip aheads with Togekiss. They do have Togekiss. If they have 2 copies in play though, they only get to flip 1 coin because the ability doesn't stack. Pretty sure you guys know that, but just a fun fact. Wonderkiss. It's another stage 2 though, so it's kind of bulky, I would say. Might as well, because they're drawing so many cards, but if you evolve your Togekiss, you're reducing the number of cards you have in your hand, essentially reducing the potential of you getting an OHKO, and OHKO with Alakazam is kind of what you want to be looking for, rather than 2-hit KO with the potential of that extra 1 price draw using the Wonder Kiss ability. Might as well just aim for an OHKO, right? If they play a Mega though, there's no hope for OHKO, so maybe Togekiss is the better option. Who knows? Who knows until you have tried it, right? Maybe you guys should experiment with Togekiss in an Alakazam deck. Anything goes, as long as your gameplay is super fine. My gameplay needs a little bit of work. Definitely needs a little bit of work. Sometimes it's better to play the Iron Thorns from the start. Sometimes it's better to evolve your Espathra as early as possible. Sometimes it's better to attack with Tinkaton. It really depends on what matchup you're up against. And you have to be very sharp in order to discern what to do from the get-go. If it's the smart move to be knocking them out, then take the knockout. If it's better to not do the knockout, don't attack. Because sometimes Espathra, doing damage with Espathra could be the wrong move, especially against a Blaziken EX. And we got matched up against quite a lot of different decks. And I've learned how to play Espathra and Iron Thorns from those matchups by losing a bunch of games. So here's this guy speaking with experience. Do not take this deck too lightly. It's kind of pretty difficult to play a control deck these days, especially with the meta being so heavy on being crazy unbalanced. You know, tilting to one side, having crazy damage on Lucario. You know, so many decks requiring only 1 energy to attack as well is just bonker bananas. This game is just very, very stupid, you know. It's getting so I don't want to say idiotic, but you get what I mean. It's getting very, very desensitizing. It's almost like you no longer have to think. They don't want you to think anymore. Critical thinking is not just unnecessary, is what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a crime, you know? It's like if you dare to challenge the meta, you're gonna fucking destroy yourself. So don't even bother trying. Why bother trying? Why not just have a comfortable life, sinking yourself in meta decks, playing Goldango, Cerulege like a fucking deep shit, you know? Like a goddamn deep shit. Cerulege especially, like we played against a couple Cerulege. There was a game where they got all the EXs prized, and I was so happy, but obviously I couldn't include into the video because that was a really stupid win. We won by being super lucky. There was no skill involved. But there was also another game where the Cerulege don't have enough damage to take the KO on our Tinkaton, but then we decided to attack with the second one, the Metal Tinkaton, because it has slightly more HP, but then they are only doing 120 damage. We had the Iono in our hand, we played the Iono, they couldn't discard the extra energy, they have only 5 basic energy in the discard pile. They don't need basic energy, right? It's just for each energy. So they have only 5 energy in the discard pile, they are only doing 120 damage on our, 130 on the Fairy Tinkaton, which wouldn't be a KO. So we would have actually lasted an extra turn. They have no other Pokemon in play except the Cerulege. So this game is almost like they know what we're playing and they're trying to do a direct counter. So eventually I added a Cubchoo just to force them to bench another Pokemon so that we get to play our Mismagius. We even had a variation where we played Grimer, so that if they have nothing but the Cerulege EX in play, one Cerulege in play, With our Espathra, we get to obviously lock them from attacking, but then we can't play our Handheld Fan or Mismagius to push their energy, or even Elgyem if they have just that one active Pokemon. So that's why Cubchoo is actually gonna force them to bench another what's it called again? Another Armarouge? No, what's that baby called again? Oh no, I forgot its name. Um uh it evolves from Charcadet. They need to be benching a Charcadet to counter our Cubchoo, because otherwise they can't attack. So Xerosic, here it comes. We actually got Xerosic at the perfect turn, dumping their hand down to 3, with them having only 5 cards left in their deck. So game's pretty much over at this point, I would say. They got 5 prize remaining, thanks to Legacy and them getting 2 tails from Wonderkiss. Who would have thought? Normally, when I play this game, my opponent gets all heads, and I get no heads. There were occasions where we get pretty lucky, but it's super rare. Almost like every 20 games, you get crazy coin flips. And then for another 20 games, for another 20 hold games in a row, you get no heads. For real, guys. I would be flipping like 6 coins, all right? 6 coins in a row and get 1 heads. 1 heads for every 6 coin flip. It's not a joke. It's not even like this is serious. It's actually like Crushing Hammer and Tinkatuff. It happens so often. Tails after tails after tails. This game is a joke, you know? Is there a way to control coin flips? To manipulate the system? Or does manifestation actually work? Lily's determination. Not gonna help. Strange timepiece. Should we play it on our Maggie? Magi. Keep calling it Maggie. The Mage. Okay, we got Hobbs Dubwool pulling out the Alakazam on the bench, knocking it out because they don't have experience share. Otherwise, we would need the energy, the extra energy on Espathra, while playing Mismagius on the second Misdreavus, because you can evolve after playing Strange Timepiece on the same Pokemon. Hilda gives us the energy for the next turn. We should be thinking of evolving our second Tinkaton, because we don't have many attackers for this deck. We should maybe play Dedenne, the baby Dedenne, with the second bite attack, or some other cards that does 10 more damage for each damage counter opponent's active Pokemon. That helps us secure the knockout after we accumulate damage on their active by stalling, hardcore stalling, using our energy destruction moves. Elgyem is pretty cool though. Like Elgyem lets you move an energy from any of your opponent's Pokemon to another of their Pokemon. Like I feel like I'm pretty sure it allows you to move special energies as well. I feel like this is a very, very radical card, because there has never been an attack that does this effect. There has never been in PTCG history. Unless if I'm mistaken, I could be mistaken. I'm pretty sure I'm not, but it's kind of a radical. It's almost like Blissey EX, right? No, my bad. Blissey V. Blissey V's attack, Blissful Blast, attaching 3 energy from the discard pile onto itself, is pretty radical because it's a very, very new thing that has never been showcased on PTCG. And it used to be a crazy thing. People did Bronzong with special energies on Blissey, Dust Noir, special transfer. There was a lot of amazing rare stuff as well going on. I think amazing rare was Sword and Shield. Yep. So it's a crazy thing back then. One of the cards that gives you a lot of flexibility, the versatility of the game. It makes the game a lot more fun in terms of creativity because you get to kind of bend the rules a little bit with those effects. There's not many cards that have these fun effects that actually helps you build rogue decks, off-meta decks that can destroy the system. Can really eat the system from the inside. Probably talking too much, but who cares? They got Togetic evolved. Not sure if it's gonna help anymore, but they're finally attacking. The handheld fan's not working. I'm just realizing the handheld fan doesn't work unless if it receives damage from an attack. So Espathra is receiving damage counters, is getting hit by effects of attacks, and that means we don't get to move their energy with the tool card. Alright, here comes another Togekiss. It's definitely a bot though, right? Because they haven't conceded yet. I mean, they got nothing but a Togekiss at this point. Reversal? Never know. It could do a reversal for Speedwing. Finally taking out the Oh, it's not enough though. They still need an energy. One more colorless. Arven from the top deck. I think this is our only tool card. We don't have Gemstone anymore. Gravity Gemstone and Pachirisu got cut out from this deck because they're simply not good enough. Because this game is getting tighter and tighter as we speak. Even though Mega lets you take 3 prize for the KO, it's still very, very difficult to counter the system. The system's pretty tight.